Hi, Year 9. So today we are looking at the midpoint of an interval. So the midpoint literally is the point that lies in the middle of the interval, and because it's a point, it means it's a coordinate. So here if we've got the interval AB, then that dot right in the middle is the midpoint of the interval AB. And this is also, like I said before, it's a coordinate, okay? So it's the middle of the x values and the middle of the y values. So a quick throwback to when we were finding the median in data. So remember, the median was the middle score. If there was an even amount of scores, let's just say we've got 2 and 4, then to find the median, remember you had to add the two scores together. So 2 plus 4, and then divide it by 2, and that helped us find the number in the middle, which is 3. And as you can see, if we were to find the number bang in the middle of 2 and 4, it would be 3. Finding the midpoint of an interval is exactly the same. You've got x and y coordinates, so you've got 2 points, which means you've got 2 x coordinates and 2 y coordinates. So the midpoint is the same as finding the middle of the 2 x coordinates and the y coordinates. So remembering that that's a coordinate, which means you're going to have an x number and a y number. So, like I said, it's the same as finding the midpoint. So, first of all, we find the middle of the x coordinates of the endpoints. So, we find the middle of the x coordinates, and then we find the middle of the y coordinates of the endpoints, and together they give us the midpoint. So, the formalities again. So, we've got our formula. Here we've got 2 points, A and B, where we've got our x1 and y1 and x2 and y2, they're back. Remember, they're just to denote the two different x and y, or the two different points. And then our midpoint is just an x and y coordinate. So we take the x coordinates of the points A and B, so x1 and x2, add them together and divide it by 2, and that will give us the x coordinate of our midpoint. And then we take the middle of the y coordinates. So we have y1 and y2. We add those two numbers together and divide it by 2, and that will give us the y part of our midpoint. So again, I've got just remember that the midpoint is a coordinate. So, for example, find the midpoint of the interval joining. First of all, we've got A and B. So we've got A, which is 5, -2, and B, which is 1, 6. Now, having a look, you can see roughly that the midpoint would be about here, right? Like if you were to guess, you would say it's roughly there. Without guessing, we can say, well, we've got A, which is the point 5 - 2. Let's call that x1 and y1. And then we've got B, which is 1, 6. Let's call that x2 and y2. Then the midpoint, remember, is exactly halfway between the x points. That gives us the x coordinate. As you can see here, this x coordinate is 1, right? The x coordinate of B is 1. The x coordinate of A is 5. Halfway between 1 and 5 is 3. Remember, if you were to cross them out as if it was the median, it's 3. And we can see that by going, well, if we take our x1 and x2 and add them together, so 5 plus 1 divided by 2, that gives us the x part. And then the middle of the y coordinates, here we've got 6 and here we've got -2. We add them together. So we're going to go -2 for our y1 plus 6 all over 2. And would you look at that? 5 plus 1 divided by 2 is 3. -2 plus 6 divided by 2 is 2, which, as we guessed, is right in the middle, right? It's actually that point there. So our midpoint is the coordinates 3, 2. Again, it doesn't matter which you do first for this one. You can do either. If you called this x1 instead and that one x2, it really doesn't matter. Okay, so you're just adding them and dividing them by 2. All right, so visually it's really nice. You can see that's the midpoint. Without a graph, it's a little bit harder, which is why our formula helps us. So let's call P in this example. Look, you know what? I'll start with Q first to show you the purpose that it actually doesn't matter. Let's call Q 4, 0. we'll call that our x1, y1. And P, negative 2, 7, we'll call that x2, y2. Remember, for our midpoint formula, we want to add the x coordinates together and divide it by 2. And we want to add then the y coordinates together and divide that by 2 as well. So with our x coordinates, we'll take x1 and x2. So we've got 4 plus negative 2. Oops, that's a coordinate, all over 2. Then we want our y coordinates. So we've got y1 and y2, so 0 plus 7. And we'll divide that by 2 as well. And then we get, well, 4 minus 2, all divided by 2. Well, 4 minus 2 is just 2, and 2 divided by 2 is just 1. And then we've got 0 plus 7 is 7, divided by 2 is 3.5, or 3.5. And there we go. That's as easy as that. All you have to do is remember to add the x coordinates and divide it by 2, and then add the y coordinates and divide it by 2, and you get your midpoint. It's literally magic. Good luck.